August 22nd. First programming there. There's a soccer game a few days later, and obviously most people are going to tune in for the Clemson-Georgia Tech game on that Thursday night as the opening of the network. The SEC Network launched in either 2014 or 15 with about what is projected to be about 65 million more homes and subscriptions than the ACC Network will launch in just a few weeks, Cam.
Yeah, and that's a problem. There's major carriers along the Eastern Seaboard that are not included in the current distribution package for the ACC Network, including the carriers that are down here in South Florida. So I personally have UVerse, but they're not on there, not on Comcast. There's another one up the Eastern Seaboard that I saw. Joe Ovies at WRAL in North Carolina. He wrote a piece about it today, actually, because he's at ACC Kickoff. And he's talking about, don't worry about distribution. Bro, I'm worried about distribution because I don't want to have to go get Hulu TV. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to go get PlayStation View. And I will do it if I have to so that I can, see my alma mater and, run the website that I've been running for, been a part of for going on 6 years and been running for almost 4. I'll do that, but it's not incumbent upon us, the consumer, to do the job of the ACC leadership. Like John Swofford, bro, you've been talking about this for years. How have you not come together with ESPN to have appropriate distribution already secured for, your entire fan base and beyond? I mean, we get the Big Ten network in South Florida. Really, bro? You know what I mean? They have distribution, they get all these other things. And that's really, really frustrating for me. So that was a point of topic and everything. And, they're talking about, there's this programming and, this is going to be great. And I went on the State of the U Twitter account and I quote tweeted it and said, I would like to be enthusiastic about all these things, but there's no distribution in my local area. Therefore, I cannot share your enthusiasm at this time until you fix it. And they're like, just at your people. That's your job. And you get paid handsomely to do it because why? You don't pay the players. All right. So I'm not going to go on that. But it's really frustrating when, I run a blog website and on top of that, even if I didn't, if I was not blogging anymore, I'm a Miami alum. And now you're going to say that I have to go out and do something different from what I'm doing and paying handsomely to be able to see this. And it's just, it's infuriating. So that was one of the things there at ACC kickoff today. Obviously, was the other division. So, I mean, there was some Florida State talk because Florida State's over there talking about, the fact that they don't have a playbook and things like that. And somebody asked Willie Taggart if he wanted to explore space or if he would be open to taking a trip to space. He said, no, he's good in Tallahassee, which several FSU fans that I know took exception and said, no, maybe you should go explore somewhere else like outer space. And then one of the other kind of storylines was Clemson being very, very pointed in their comments about, Alabama the other day at their media outing. They said, they had excuses and, we lost by 4 touchdowns in the national championship game, but it was da-da-da-da-da-da. And the Clemson players were not here for that. They're like, nah, we're good. They even went so far as to say that Notre Dame was the best team that they played last year, not Alabama, which is a little bit of hyperbole, but I love it. If that gives us Alabama Clemson 4 in this year's championship game, those teams are going to be angry about that because they said that to a man. So that was kind of funny. But Miami hits the podium tomorrow. There was just a video that was put up from Miami Hurricanes athletics. Hurricane Sports and Canes football. A video of KJ Osborne, Shaq Quarterman, and Manny Diaz being taking the private jet out there for that. So they'll be on the podium tomorrow. So I'll just get the times and, I've cleared my schedule personally. So we'll have some quick reaction and some videos and some recaps up on the blog and everything about that, like we always do. And everything. So, it's not really anything earth shattering. I don't think you're going to learn a little bit more about Shaq Quarterman. Personally, you're going to learn a little bit more, about KJ Osborne personally. And a little bit more about him is pretty much learning anything because he's new here. He went to Buffalo for 4 years before transferring as a grad transfer, and then obviously it's Manny Diaz's first time in the spotlight up at the podium there. So I'm sure that's going to be an interesting and engaging interaction. So we'll be checking out all of that. So it's not like anything super crazy, but hey, it's one step closer to football. So I'm excited for it.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And many of you know, because of whom I work for, that I have to measure my words at times. And I have connection to the ACC Network, not, somewhat directly. So anyway, I have no doubt, based on who's running the network and what is delivered as content, both live and of a documentary or series nature on the SEC Network, it is first rate. I will say right now that the Big Ten Network is a very well-run network, but there is no difference in watching ESPN and watching the SEC Network. It looks like the production value is first rate. The Big Ten Network looks like it's just, and certainly I work with a number of people who've worked at the Big Ten Network, and they would say the same. So I believe that the ACC Network is going to be an outstanding product. I have a few theories here. So certainly SEC football is more popular than ACC football top to bottom, 1 through 14 teams. There are less kind of forgettable programs if you would measure a Vanderbilt or a Wake Forest. Obviously, the SEC is deeper in rabid fan bases than the ACC. So maybe that plays into it. There's also a broader geographic landscape to deal with the ACC. You're stretching all the way up to Boston. You're stretching out, in a sense, to Notre Dame with all the other sports. You're stretching to Louisville. You're in Pittsburgh. You're down all the way to the bottom of the country, Miami. The SEC more concentrated, sure, Missouri and Texas A&M, their addition has stretched the landscape geographically, but it's very centric to the Southeast. And there's more of a fabric to the SEC that pulls everything together culturally and geographically. And certainly when people think ACC, they think basketball first. Now, because of the huge popularity of football, regardless of it being a basketball conference, make no mistake about it, there are more people that watch ACC football than watch ACC basketball. So I know that perception's in people's minds that it is a basketball conference. And yes, in comparison to the disparity in the other conferences where the Big Ten football, Big Ten basketball, SEC football, SEC basketball, it's more balanced, but still more people watch big ACC football games than big ACC basketball games. The TV ratings aren't even close. So football still drives it, but not to the degree. So maybe we see more of a push come basketball season, because otherwise I can't answer your question. I know it's not your specific question, Cam, but I don't have an answer to why the disparity in SEC distribution versus ACC, because it's the same main company involved. So I've got to think it's an ACC issue.
I mean, maybe it is, but I don't care. I mean, I get it,
sure,
and everything, but just, I mean, and the thing is, there are the concerns and considerations about, the wide geography of the ACC, base, because you're going all the way up the Eastern Seaboard. I mean, if you're talking about Syracuse and northern, upstate New York, which is, hour and a half away from Canada, you know what I mean? Like, you're going all the way up there, and then, you have their alumni base, and it goes all the way into the, in the New England area and Boston College, all the way down to, Miami, way down here in South Florida, which, if you've never been or never driven, South Florida is south. Like, it's 6 hours from the Florida-Georgia border. Like, it's down here, you know what I mean? But John Swofford, when they announced this network, it's not like Miami was not in the conference. It's not like they didn't know what the geography was about. And it's kind of just frustrating where, we're about a month away from the network going live, and we don't have secured distribution, for, obviously my chosen carrier down here, or, a couple carriers and things like that. So it is frustrating, but, there are other options. But I don't necessarily want to go that route. So, hey, I guess that's a personal thing, but it's not just personal for me. It's personal for a lot of people, because up and down the Eastern Seaboard, there's plenty of places that don't have distribution, and that's a problem.